I am, I am, I am, I am. I am all this love that I know that I am. And I am that I am that I am that I am. Yes, I am that I am. And I love that I am. And I know that I am that I am that I am. Hey friends and family, I just wanted to come on and share a few nuggets that I've been receiving and playing with and really taking to heart and just playing with and allowing myself to just be in and allowing myself just to be as I am and embracing my humanity and my divinity and all of the experience of this awakening, and not wanting to reject any of it, and knowing that it all has a part to play and that every choice creates, something, and it all relates. And so it's just a matter of stepping out of judgment and witnessing the play, really. And I feel like that was what Earth was originally meant for, was this beautiful little place to understand how natural law and universal law works, and to have a certain experience, because just because of the vastness that we are, and to have these individual journeys and these experiences and all of these different places that we can dwell in, and it's just so amazing, really. And almost it is inarticulatable, some of it, seeing it in different pictures and symbols and knowing it in my heart, but it's a lot harder to explain or to put into words. And so really I was listening to something or reading something, or I took something in that said, you can't really explain some of this stuff. You can't really put it into words, but we can express it, and we can come back to divine simplicity and just speaking from the heart and our truth, and that has a resonance, and that touches people on a deeper level, because their soul can receive it and understand that, or take it in, or it plants seeds within their being, because it does touch the truth of their being. And so when it is from truth and from love and all those things, it doesn't really matter what kind of words it's put into, whatever. Just speak from the heart and just do it with love, or just be in that love and express that love. And so I'm just working with simplicity and other messages about how I can get out of my own way, and how there are certain things coming up to be processed and alchemized, transformed, or just let go of, surrendered, because of all of this, all the things that we kind of did to construct a certain identity, and it all has to do with the Pisces era and everything. And it's so fascinating to see it on multidimensional levels. But it's just a lot of shedding now to move into the age of Aquarius, and know the self in relation to the whole, and in whole new ways, with all of these different spectrums of light available to us now that were not previously. And it's just, wow, the transformation and everything that's going on. There is so much to process, and so much that is being transformed right now. It's so hard for the mind to keep up with, and we have been on that ride for a little while now, and I feel some of us are mentally and physically and emotionally and psychically exhausted. And it is true, just give ourselves a little bit of rest and see how far we've come, really, because we have been through a marathon. And this is just the way that I'm seeing, and I don't claim it as absolute truth, but this is the way what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And so I pick up so many things from everything that I see around me and within me, because I have a rich inner landscape and just really sensitive to different things. And it's just like, this is like my own process and my own experience, like that I'm meant to have, like through like this collective awakening and this individual awakening, and to remember who we are and to remember all I am. And so, like, yeah, it is like so amazingly just incredible and wonderful and awesome, like with, yeah, then some. It's totally in awe, and it can be so overwhelming in a lot of ways, because we're jumping back and forth so much, like through so many things and so many old memories and so many things that relate to everything, like that this human experience, you know, like really gifted us and really brings. And so it's just, oh, it's so full of everything. And so I'm super glad that I did show up and I recorded like a lot of videos in August, because there was a lot to talk about. And I understand like that the astrology, the way that it was like with Mars in Gemini. So I'm a Gemini rising, and Mars like is like a call to action, and it's just like putting the fire, like to communicate like with my inner communicator. And that just relates to like, yeah, my own chart, my own personality, or my own blueprint of like the energies that like I get to work with and I get to just play with and master and respond to, and yeah, all those things. So it's just so fun, like this little play in this little, oh no, I guess it's like really a grand stage in this great play. But it's just so fun to see in all of these ways, in these whole new ways. And so I just wanted to share, like, oh my gosh, like some huge messages that I've been getting, like to help me navigate my own play. And I felt like, yeah, some others might find it interesting that are like kind of going through like these certain changes, because we're all going through this mass change and this mass like reformation and recalibration of our identity, like, which is like switching from the separate self to seeing ourselves as whole and connected to the whole, and like seeing ourselves like in this play as the eternal self, like taking many forms and many shapes and playing many roles and being many things, and no thing really, but everything. And so it is like the sacred and the Holy Trinity in a lot of ways, like switching back and forth, being those things multi dimensionally and simultaneously, and all of those things. So it is like such a fun thing, but such a trippy thing at the same time. And like a lot of mental play comes into that to try and understand what the fuck is going on. And yeah, that's like where I find myself like a little bit exhausted because of some of my old strategies, but then like learning certain new things about like how it is, like how I can let go and how I can just let things be revealed to me, and how everything you know, is just playing. And if we choose to play with ourselves, if we choose to play with God, if we choose to play with life, with the universe, with love, with this magic, then it responds to us. And that's how powerful we are, because it's part of us. And it is this play of back and forth where what we send out and what we project and what, you know, like how we direct our energy, like it does come back around, because that is the circular, yeah, cycle, the pattern, just, gosh, like I said, it is let's start again. Yeah, the circular, like it is all in a circle. And I feel like too, like we haven't been able to see ourselves in that circle of everything that holds everything, that contains everything, where everything is a part of itself, and it all contains all the other parts of the whole within it, and it's just expressing itself in different forms, and it's all a part of one being, just like the tree. And it just keeps giving back to itself, and it keeps expanding itself. And that's another symbol, like the Ouroboros, and like in another way, like, which some of these symbols too, like, have been hijacked, and they have been inverted in certain ways and used like in an anti-life way. And so, like, because we've been a little bit, we've had amnesia, we've forgotten, and we're remembering now, like, how to turn it around for ourselves by seeing ourselves as whole, by seeing ourselves as connected to this greater whole, and seeing everyone else as whole too. And so some of these things have stemmed from, like, my willingness to see, my willingness to be teachable and know that I don't know everything, and like to value my experience, and how I do see, and uncover certain layers and shed old beliefs and identities, and just like let go and surrender and enjoy like the process and just let it be. Like, but that doesn't mean that I don't like have like responsibility or participation. But part of the power of transformation and healing is that receptivity and witnessing, and being open to possibilities and our own like magic and our own light and everything we've been given to be, like, just through being who we are, because nature is so beautifully intelligent and irrationally so, and it just knows, and it's just like watching nature, when we watch like the birds like fly together and their synchronization, and the school of fish, and like all of like how everything does like break down and regenerate, like looking at like some of those kind of time clips or whatnot, how they what's the word, the progression, how we can see like in fast motion or slow motion, like how something happens and whatnot, like how there's certain patterns of that, like of creation and destruction, and like in these regeneration patterns, and how things move as a whole. If we watch like ants move in a colony, or people move in a city, like it does have like some kind of rhythm, just like the ocean, like in the waves and things. And so it is like really cool to see, like with that in breath and out breath pattern, and like how like certain energy fields do like affect and ripple, and how it does like create like certain ripple effects, how it all just works together. And it's so interesting to see the bigger picture. That was one of my messages, was to see the bigger picture. And that came from this oracle deck that I didn't ask for, but my husband was like, let's get her that one. And so, that was a surprise for me for my birthday, the Moonology by Yasmin Bolin. And so I flipped it open maybe almost a week ago. And I got, first of all, like the moon in Scorpio, and that was all about like be honest with yourself. And it was already after I had been like nudged through other ways and other messages, like to be taking stock and inventory, and to be honest with myself about certain things, and master certain like creative energies, or certain areas where I maybe had been unaware of where energy was leaking and things, and claim that back, because now is the time that you can get and you can claim your magic back, and it can work for you, and all of that. And then there was the moon in Sagittarius, which was all about like see the bigger picture. So I super appreciated that, because eagle medicine has been coming up for me about like, yeah, it's kind of, sometimes it's helpful to detach and zoom out, like distance yourself from the situation, use the like more of the impersonal lens, and like that lens that's not attached and it doesn't take things personally, and it's just observing like, yeah, the whole thing with the eagle eye. And it also like, yeah, brings up like the single eye, or let thine eye be single, and the unified whole, like seeing it as a whole, and seeing like what it's really for, and not getting attached to like all of the things that are happening, but like seeing it as a whole, like, and knowing like what the bigger picture is, and that it is for everyone's growth and like everyone's soul's like benefit, and it will be beneficial for everyone. And so it is like that Christic consciousness, so that all beings will be liberated, for all, like for all. And so we need to include ourselves in that all, and yeah, love like all that we are, and free all that we are, and let go of all of the things that keep us from like loving all we are, and being all we are, and freeing all we are. So it's like, yeah, all this liberator energy, and all this radical compassion, and ruthless compassion, about letting go of who we thought we are, who we thought we were, who we wanted to be for others, who we wanted to be for ourselves, who we wanted to be seen as, like who we wanted to be celebrating, or celebrated as, you know, like this playing at being identity thing that we've been conditioned into, like performing for others, because it was what they wanted to see, and it would raise our position on this totem pole of acceptability, or value, inflating like that value and that worthiness and everything, like climbing a ladder to prove that we can do certain things, when really like our value is just inherent as we are, because we are who we are, and we came in with gifts to share, and just are being part of the whole. Like we carry different things through that wholeness that we are, for the entire whole. That, you know, like we can't exclude ourselves, and we can't exclude other people from being part of that whole, even though like they play different parts for us, and we want to like either venerate or reject like that part that they're playing for us, or like dismiss it or devalue it, or devalue our own part that we're playing for them, because we do play so many parts. We play all parts for each other and for ourselves. And so it's fun to see it in this way, in this whole new way of playing all of these parts through, you know, all these ways, for the whole and through the whole that we are. Like we have all of these aspects within ourselves. And what it is it's just a journey of individuation and self-mastery, and becoming aware of ourselves and all of these parts that we do get to play, and not rejecting any of them, and integrating them, and purifying them, transforming them, becoming aware of them, bringing them into the light, making the darkness conscious. And so it has been a fun light and shadow play, and I've learned so much in the last couple of years. And yeah, that's why, oh, it's just like so very cool right now, like to see it all culminate. And like I'm in this hyper birthing phase where I'm transforming so many things and creating so many things, and I just have to let go so much, because there is so much that's like inflow, outflow, like coming up to the surface, like to be remembered and included. And yeah, so many things like that have been realized and then surrendered. And oh, it's so like amazing. Like all of these things, but they all do, like they could all fill up a book. Like realistically. Yeah, literally and figuratively. And so it's so cool, like feeling so full, but in a way too, like being overwhelmed and not knowing what to do with all of it. But there are like just bits and nuggets and pieces that I wanted to share, and just because like it is an amazing time to be alive, and to be alive and kicking and well and in harmony with the self, and like just working through like everything that comes up, or that, you know, is a gift for the whole. And seeing so many things, seeing into so many things about, yeah, my old strategies and my cock blocks and my old identities, now that I'm like shedding them and taking on this new mantle of, yeah, the eternal self, and the self that is love. And so the self that is love can be everything and nothing. And so there's a lot of freedom in that. And it's just like, wow, such an interesting transition and transformation. Like, going back and forth between the two, like remembering and forgetting, and sliding back, yeah, into like the old familiar strategies, and then noticing, and then coming back to the present and recentering and remembering. And it has been like so intense, like today, like, oh man, and it was so perfect just the way that it was, though. But there was a part of me that wanted to like hang on to a lot of like expectation or preference today. Like, I prefer it this way. Why can't it be that way? Like, it wasn't like this beautiful, golden, happy, amazing, blissful day, you know, yesterday. And today it was like just, oh, it didn't feel like that same way. And so it was just like resistance to what was, and to just being where I was, and not trying to escape it, and to be somewhere else, or to make it be something that it wasn't at the time, like in the now. And so, like, yeah, just seeing like some of those things, or some of those strategies, or like where I've been impatient with myself about being tired, or about feeling like I had to entertain someone, or feeling like I had to please someone, or feeling like I had to be pleased myself, or I had to be a certain way in order for it to be enough or good, or whatever, like, because everything has its part, and everything, like, and it's just like being in the moment without like attachment to what it is, or what it feels like, and responding to it. And so, like, yeah, just learning these things on deeper levels, like practicing non-attachment, or healthy detachment, and knowing that like the miracles will unfold without my direct participation, or influence or manipulation, which, like, that's so different than like responding to what's being given and what's being offered, and like just allowing that exchange. And so, yeah, it is like a really interesting, fun, adventurous new place to be in, like, and just seeing it in so many ways. So seeing the bigger picture, like, that's what helped me a lot today, like, was that, oh yeah, every part has its place, and just be here now, and just don't have to force anything. Nothing has to be a certain way. Just enjoy and allow what's now. And so, yeah, that actually just freed up a lot of energy, and it could just be, and I could just be, and everything could just be, like, and then, yeah, that's when like the magic can come in, and you can just observe like what actually is like happening for us, or what is, yeah, with the energy, like is like manifesting, or how it's coming into form in certain ways, and we allow it to. And because every moment is reborn, and so it's like I am always arriving, and so it's kind of like let go of that preconceived notion, of that assumption of this is this and this is that, or that is this is this and that is that. Yeah, it's like either or, pitter pat. It's just silly. The way that we try and define things or tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves, so that we feel like we're in control or reinforcing something that we know, when it's really what we think we know. And it's just silly, like the mind loops and the mental hoops that we put ourselves through. And that's like just part of our attachment and part of that addiction to like some of these strategies that we've had, because our mind, our mind is really, really, really amazing, but it's been used and misused in a lot of ways. And so pig spirit and pig medicine, has been a big player in the last month, to remember to use our minds wisely. And just be aware of like where our thinking is and where our thoughts are, and that we do create our reality like through like the ways that we do think and the ways that we choose to see things. And so another message was let go of how you think other people are seeing certain things, and check your own vision, come back to me. Check my own vision, come back to me. How am I seeing? How am I choosing to see? How am I choosing to see me? How am I choosing to see we? How am I choosing to see others? How am I choosing to see like all the things, everything? How am I choosing to see myself in relation to the whole? How am I choosing to see my situation? And what can I see? Like, what do I really see? What am I currently seeing? Instead of being worried about where others are at and how they're seeing. And I got some insight into this as well, and I'm still letting it percolate. But there was something super amazing that I saw, and it was only like a 7-minute video, and it was about audience capture. And it described perfectly like some of the things that I had been wanting to understand, because I had seen it in my mind, like where there's this kind of flip back and forth between like a figure that was judging me, or this gaze that was always like looking at me from a certain kind of a lens, from a certain kind of personality. And it would say, thumbs up or thumbs down, or kind of like scrutinize certain things about, just the most weird, it was the most weird self-conscious type of mental prison. And it actually explained, like this video kind of explained this to me in certain ways that I really appreciate. And so I'm going to put it in the description box. And it's called Audience Capture. And I know I have a little bit more looking into like that kind of thing, and I'm going to allow it to be revealed to me, and which is really cool, because I knew that the way that I had seen it like in my mind in certain ways, like the last maybe year or so, it like appeared to me kind of like a spiritual ego or a super ego kind of a thing. And so I was just like willing to work with that and see more into that, like how I had built that mechanism within my own mind, or how it had been implanted, and how I kept reinforcing it or recharging it with my own agendas, or my own expectations, or my own maybe like misdirected energy, because I wanted to be seen in a certain way, and how like that kind of has been working against me, or like kept me from being like totally completely authentic, because like of like some kind of performance pressure of a role I'm supposed to play. And sometimes I feel like I'm supposed to play it for myself, like to be a certain way. And then sometimes I do like pick up on the projections of others of what kind of things they expect me to play for them because of what I played in the past for them. And this does like relate to memory and to sort of identity that kind of restricts us in certain ways. And so, yeah, really, like memory, I read somewhere, or I picked up somewhere, someone described it beautifully and eloquently, and maybe I'll find this again because I don't think it was all that long ago, but I had just like kind of retrieved it in my mind somehow, like in the last couple of weeks. But it was kind of saying that memory is kind of something that we've constructed because of certain thoughts and feelings and beliefs and interactions or experiences that we have, well, I guess we've experienced or we've perceived, and it's just a way for our ego to attach certain things, to tell ourselves a certain story, or to reinforce the story that we have of ourselves or what's happened to us. And yeah, seeing certain memories in that way, I guess like they can be like certain blockages that can get frozen within us, and then like create like a frozen identity and a narrow, rigid way of seeing ourselves and the way that we see the world. And so it's a clean slate now, and maybe it'll come back. But it does, and it can affect the way that we are receiving, like, you know, like being present here to receive certain memories and certain identities can be blockages in receiving like what really is right now and what you know, our soul really, you know, is experiencing on that like whole level. And our ego is experiencing something different maybe, like, but then we yeah, it's like kind of a chance or an invitation to unify like that reality and see the whole truth, because we've left out like half of it or like all of it almost, like, and just like chosen this little spectrum like to define our experience from. And so it was like some super cool nuggets that like kind of helped me like look at some of these things about what I've been addicted to, and maybe like what we as a collective have been addicted to with like the survival strategy of like reinforcing our identity and our belief and our story, and how we constantly do that, where we manufacture like proof of or evidence or validation, verification to prove ourselves right, or yeah, to reinforce our own story or whatever it is that we're right, to secure, you know, our reality, or just to make ourselves feel like, you know, safe. And so yeah, just like seeing into so many of these things, the nugget that I got like was like from a 3-4 minute video, and it wasn't somebody that I normally listen to, but it came up in my suggestions, and like I think the title just piqued my curiosity, and I was like, okay, like, yeah. And so I was just led to it, and I just listened, and it was just like it had some good points in it, and I was just like, oh, that's really interesting to chew on. I think I'll take that nugget and I'll sit with that too. And yeah, so I went through like all these little things, like consciously and unconsciously, like to process this little nugget that had been given to me. And so I just decided, okay, I'm gonna look into like where I've been addicted, like to like, yeah, certain mechanisms and identity, yeah, kind of just like reinforcing that identity or feeding that ego, inflating that ego, like with all these unconscious strategies, and all of these things being addicted to certain things about time and describing what's happening. Totally addicted to that. So addicted to that. And seeing more into that. And so, what this, I guess, spiritual figure, or, person who has like a lot of followers that offers a lot of spiritual wisdom and everything, like, I kind of felt like there's some, like, the whole picture is lacking here, or maybe it's not enough context, like, but certain things I felt were left out, so I got to like see those for myself. And so I was like, wow, thank you for that thought-provoking message, because that helped me to look at certain things, and it piqued my curiosity, and then I could look at and see what I needed for me. And so, like, not saying that like the way that he expressed it was wrong, but like for me, like, certain things came up where it didn't include certain things, because like what I got from his message that like didn't resonate with me, but actually helped me find my own truth within me, was that he was saying that what we're experiencing isn't really happening because we've been addicted to memory and time and the identity, and pretty much all that. And that is true. And he's like just saying that, like, yeah, none of this is really happening. That's the illusion. And that is, and like that, it prevents us from actually like being, or something along the lines of that, which, that totally makes sense. And but there's something I thought was missing from that. And what I found, like, for my own self was that it felt like it was excluding the human experience, because like this is this third dimensional reality, like, that we have been like learning in and growing in and developing in and realizing and remembering, and awakening in. It doesn't include that, like, that human experience of like that identity that we've learned to reinforce or like create for ourselves, because what else were we gonna that's like what we've created. That's like, like, that is our own creation, and everything that we have in our lives and all of our relationships reflect that relationship with ourselves. So it really is our energy. And so, like, we have made it real for ourselves because of our thoughts and our beliefs and the way that we have directed unconsciously and like sometimes consciously our own energy. And so let's not dismiss that part of our like the actual reality that we're experiencing right now, because it'd be like really valuable to see what has been created and like look more deeply into like what is being gifted to us in the now, which, if we're living in that place right now, that is timelessness. And so we don't have to change anything about like our reality. It's just like accepting like that this is what we have created, and that there's certain things that need to play out, and like there are certain things that we have made real in our minds that we can kind of look at and see if they're really aligned, and if they're really true, or if we are kind of blind because of past memory and past trauma that keeps us in a loop of like playing that out again and again and again. And like, it's just so interesting to see like how like we use different strategies to try and escape and tell ourselves like, oh, we can just transcend this, or we can just opt out. when really it's like we get to alchemize and we get to transform like our own creations. And so let's not disconnect or deny ourselves like what we have created, and let's see it on multidimensional levels, you know. And yeah, like some of the things, you know, that we are playing with and playing out, yeah, they have been created because of the illusion of separation, and because of that disconnection and fragmentation and over identification with like the material and yeah, the programmed yeah, mind and ego, you know. But the ego has been our best ally all along, really. But it's been so misused and abused and traumatized, and it's been doing the best it can, like all this time, through all this time. Like, we don't want to escape time. We created time so we could see like different things, how we actually manifest them into being, like to slow things down, and so we could experience this duality, and then we could unify it as well. And so like, yeah, there's a lot of things like that we get to learn in seeing ourselves as whole, and seeing ourselves as whole, and everything else, through everything else, through our connections to everything else. And so yeah, there's a lot like to look into there, and to see into and see and through. Yeah, through all those things like that we have been unaware of, and we can become aware of if we accept them and include them, and we have that healthy detachment or that non-attachment. Like, but we are clearing so many things like right now from so many different lives and energies, like yeah, stuck energies, like. And so like that's why there's just yeah, really mental like breakdown and like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed, because it's so much to keep up with, everything that's being processed and like dissolved right now and transmuted right now. It's just like, wow. So there was one other thing I feel like I wanted to share that I super appreciate from another gifted medium, and yeah, just creative and amazing being of the whole, like really, because seeing into like that we all have different gifts and we all get to play a role. And I'm seeing into how like I put certain people on a pedestal, and I wanted them to carry my own power, you know, like that I overlooked. And so yeah, looking at those things and really appreciating certain things when there are these triggers of like comparison stories, or better and lesser than, and yeah, just what's expected. Yeah. And what is seen to have like the most value, or yeah, inflated value. I don't know, like really, maybe that'll become clear and come back around. But yeah, there is this spiritual teacher who she's done like so super, oh my god, amazing things, and she's put out so many things in, I don't know, like maybe 30 years or so. And she was suggesting, and I heartily agree, like with like journaling certain things, like having a dumping ground, like journaling stuff, like just like to vent all of these different things out, and all of these feelings out, and all of these thoughts out, like, which is so super helpful sometimes when we have it all bottled up and we don't know like how to express them, and how other people would feel about them, or we don't want to dump it onto somebody else, like, and it's just something that we get to express and just purge and just come clean with ourselves about, like, there's certain aspects and there's certain feelings that we've suppressed, and now like there can be a container for them just to like let them all out and let them have a voice and a say and everything, like, and yeah, just clear out that energy so that the wisdom can emerge. Because, you know, if we can allow like all of those other things, then the wisdom, then the medicine, and like the remedy, and the love, and like the beauty, like, can come through to help us, and just to yeah, be witnessed, and just to be, just to, because that is a part of it, all of it, of all we are, of who we are. Like, so we all do have that within us. And so what she was suggesting was to have 2 separate journals, one for the dumping ground and one for the epiphanies. But like for me, like, I know like it's helpful to do like poison pen letters and have that just as its own thing, or like, yeah, just look at a certain archetype and let her speak and her like be heard and all of those things. But I know like that the wisdom always comes through because of allowing like that other part that gets to be transformed through allowing that part to speak, and allowing that part to move, and allowing that part to play and have that space like to find its own place. And then that's like when the wheel turns, and like there's the fullness, or the rotation, and the revelation, and the revolution, or the evolution of like that energy, like through the spiral. And so yeah, I was just feeling like, yeah, why not? Like, they're not separate. Like, why separate them into 2 different journals? Because it's actually like the mud and the fertilizer that helps us come to the light, to that realization. Like, and so like, let's include the whole. Like, let's include all the parts of the whole, like the shit and the gold. And like, yeah, that darkness that is the soil and the fertilizer, that the seed like, yeah, has to go through its own destruction and its own dissolution to become the sprout, and to push through the soil, push through the darkness, and find its way to the light. And so yeah, let's, you know, like, let's kind of look at where we have actually been separating different things and valuing different things over other things, or yeah, maybe like it has contributed to certain imbalances, or, you know, this imbalancing relationship or dynamic and system, like, that's constantly throwing us off our center because we're rejecting like the side that seems less valuable, or less worthy, or less seemly. I don't know. And so yeah, just kind of some thoughts about those things, about like where I appreciate certain wisdom, but let's not exclude like the other side of it, or like the whole, the bigger picture, like yeah, on all sides. so many sides. And for, oh yes, this is what I really wanted to share too, like for personally, for me, and I've enjoyed practicing like the 4 agreements again, like, because that really helps me. So it's be impeccable with your word, watch your words. Yeah, and just see what they're creating, and how like what stories we're telling ourselves, and yeah, what we're recreating or perpetuating, and reinforcing, or yeah, reinvesting into. And so yeah, and watch your words, and yeah, be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions, don't take anything personally, and always do your best. And yeah, love those reminders, and all those like things that they cover, like seriously, like to get out of our own way. And kind of realizing like how in a lot of ways when we do make assumptions, it's like to prove ourselves right, or yeah, that's some of the conclusions we jump to because like of our unconscious agendas, desires, fears, or whatever strategies, and taking things personally because we felt so small and separate and insignificant, and so unworthy, so unimportant. And then, yeah, always do your best, like with taking the action and letting go of being rewarded, and taking the action for the enjoyment of taking the action itself, of being present with the action, and knowing that it's for love, like when it's from that place, and it's like through love, and it's in love, like when we're in presence, like with it, like yeah, as much as we can be, like in that intention of it too. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not, it's willingness, it's not perfection. It's a willingness to show up and embrace all we are, and what is before us. You know. So the little things that I overlooked, yeah, some of the gifts and my own value and my own gifts. And just because I feel like, yeah, I'm not like this magical artist like that can do so many things, and like, but I have like super appreciated like my ability to give myself permission and choose like free self-expression, because that was something my soul really wanted to do, and it didn't have to be anything grand, but it was something that I really enjoyed and it meant a lot to me. And because I gave myself that permission, it opened up so much for me, and then it actually rippled out to others around me, and I inspired so many people to start looking at themselves as artists, or you know, inspired to like start taking painting classes, or like doing like, you know, more creative things and awesome things for themselves, because that's what they wanted to do. And so it was like, oh, and it's like my art, like, you know, like I'm a beginner, and it's like, but it was like, it's still beautiful, but it's not like classic, like, yeah, like I guess what we've seen is good experienced, like, yeah, naturally inclined art, but it's like my own art that I've enjoyed, and it has my own energy, and like the things that I see and the things that I love, and the things like that are just a part of me, because there is no separation between the creator and the created. And just because I was allowing myself to play and to express myself in these new authentic ways, like that I really needed for me, for my own life force and my own life support, because I was like choking my own life away, like where I wasn't allowing myself to express myself in authentic ways or my own creative ways, because I didn't believe in them. But when I did like start to allow myself, like, okay, you can be a beginner, you can give yourself permission to start where you are and be shitty, and just like let go of how it's supposed to be. And it's been such a awesome process, but it's, yeah, it's like, oh, because I was in my way so much because of these old rigid beliefs and old stories that I had told myself, or I had believed and agreed to. And like, but just now, like seeing that, like, even though like my art, like, you know, like, is just amateur stuff, and it's just like really fun and playful and happy and good for me, like it doesn't have to be anything other than that. But it inspired so many of my loved ones and my friends, and like, yeah, family and other people that got drawn into my circle to take my different classes that I got to teach, because like that's what it branched into. And like it was just like, wow, like all the synergy and the energy like that kept giving and receiving and exchanging and just weaving like into so many different threads, and like rippling out to so many loved ones. And just seeing that, like, and how, like, I don't even know how much it like meant to other people, like where it was like, wow, I'm gonna do that too, or it inspired them to like, yeah, do something. And so just because it was fun and it was love and for them. And so I just wanted to share like this cute little painting here that a friend did for me, just because it, yeah, she wanted to. And it's a little mandala. I covered it with resin because I thought like, oh, that'll be cool, but I kind of, yeah, like it was before I knew like a lot of things about resin. But yeah, this is the beautiful little flower mandala, and the light probably just doesn't do it justice for all the like patterns and colors. She actually did spend time like with just enjoying and creating. And then the same friend did this for me for Christmas because of the aloe plants that I have so prolifically propagated. she says, I'm the Aloe Queen. And so I thought that was the cutest little thing, like just to do like something simple like that was so amazing. And it just kind of shows like the light around everything and the light in everything that's growing. And so it's just like a fun little reminder of like, oh yeah, like the gift that keeps giving, like this creativity and just being, just being, just being and just expressing and just loving and living. And then another friend, like she had heard about like what I was doing and like how I did different things, and it inspired her to do her own crafty nights, like to invite others, like to like do little crafts, because she'd been wanting to do that for so long, and then she got to do that and share the joy with other people. And then she has brought me like some really cute things she has made, and she brought me this Love Grows Best like little thing that she had done, she had painted and everything. And yeah, just because, and it's just like, oh, that's so awesome, like to share that kind of joy. And so like, yeah, like my art, it's not like valued at like thousands of dollars at a piece or whatnot, but it's really precious and it's really priceless, because it really is like, it was honoring and it was true for me, and it was something that I got to choose for me, and something that I got to express and receive and then share with others. And then it just got to be like all this other like magic and synchronicity like playing through like all this like being and receiving and giving and sharing, and yeah, just all of the things, everything. And so just like choosing not to overlook the little things like that, you know, like maybe we've been taught to see as not important or not valuable or unworthy or not gonna pay the bills or whatever. But like if it generates like that kind of prosperity and those kinds of gifts and that kind of like energy, like to create and to explore and just to let go of like our old blocks, like why we don't think we can like show up for that or receive that or be that or give that or share that or make time for it, or like, yeah, any of those things, those silly excuses that we've believed, you know. So I think it's, and I feel and I see like that in new ways, like just through being like all we are, no matter like and just stepping out of judgment about what we're doing or whatever, and just enjoying and experiencing, and through presencing and through being and through like a willingness to receive and all of those things, like just like who we can be like for each other and who we already are, and like taking all that pressure off of ourselves and just realizing like, yeah, we can accept where we are and we can include the whole, and there's like all this magic available. And so I might come back and share a few more things about like some of the messages I received, but yeah, thank you for listening. And like this has been like a super potent window of awakening, like with all of these things moving now, and yeah, just going into the chrysalis energy. Just like, yeah, we'll need a little bit of rest before like, yeah, that last leg. So I hope you're all taking good care of yourselves and loving yourselves and choosing love for yourselves for your whole well and well-being. Okay, love y'all. Talk to you later. We'll see you for now.